My life is often compared to a fairy tale in which a smart but humble boy, who once got unlucky, manages to achieve everything he ever dreamed of: an amazing wife, a solid career and business partner, and Liam's best friend. From the outside, it seemed like an ideal existence, but, as they say, it's always easier to see the full picture from the outside by looking inside yourself. I'm going to share with you the story of how my family, which was once considered flawless, was destroyed by 2 voice messages sent to the wrong chat. The fabulous life that I thought was my own turned out to be nothing more than a carefully constructed facade. Funny, isn't it? I used to laugh at jokes about how I accidentally sent a message saying baby to my boss. But then, everything happens in life. Liam and I first crossed paths back in university. He was your typical businessman, and I was the quintessential nerd. We seemed like complete opposites with little in common, but, as fate would have it, over time, his entrepreneurial spirit and my analytical mind led us to find common ground. After graduation, we ventured into a small business funded by his father. Years passed, and the business grew, as did my personal transformation. No longer the poor guy with glasses, I was now a more confident man with a beautiful wife by my side. Liam, ever the loyal best friend, stood by my side as the best man at our wedding. If you had asked me back then whom I trusted more, the answer would have been simple: both of them. Family life quickly fell into a monotonous routine: work, home, work, home. But the occasional short business trip helped break up the routine. When I was away for just a day or 2, I never worried that my wife would cheat on me. Of course, there were video calls, but it still felt like a world away from any trouble. That sense of peace shattered one summer evening in August. I had gone away for just a couple of days. After wrapping up a round of negotiations, I returned to the hotel and called my wife. She told me she was expecting a friend over and wished me a good night. I was just drifting off to sleep when my phone buzzed with a notification. It was nearly 2 a.m. The message was from her. The dream was over. What could have possibly happened at this hour? We had just spoken, and everything seemed fine. I hesitated before opening the message. It was a voice recording, her voice slurring slightly, clearly intoxicated. "I really want you to come back." I couldn't help but smile at the thought of my drunk wife missing me. Maybe I'd even surprise her with a visit to a jewelry store tomorrow. I quickly texted back, telling her I'd be home in just a day, and wished her a good night. I set the phone back down on the nightstand, but barely a minute later it blinked again. The new voicemail played, and my heart sank. "No, my husband will be back in a day, and we won't be able to talk about what happened." The words hit like a punch to the gut. I froze in shock as the next voicemail arrived. "Well," or "repeat it." I replayed the message, struggling to grasp what was happening. The rage started to build inside me, but I forced myself to stay calm. I had to control myself. My fingers fumbled as I sent a response. The next step was clear. I had to get Liam on the phone, get him to my house, and figure out who was in my home, who was betraying me. "Call me in a few minutes," I texted quickly, then dialed Liam. To my surprise, he answered right away. "Liam, I need your help urgently. Get to my place. No time to explain. The sooner you get here, the better chance we have of catching them in the act. What's going on? I'll explain everything once you're here." There was a brief silence. Then Liam's voice came through, somewhat hesitant. "I just dropped off some wine for your mom." You know, the bachelorette party. They're probably wrapping up by now. My mind raced. How long have you been gone? I asked. About 2 hours. I made sure everything was good, then I left, he said, his tone still off. Wait, what's going on? Why are you freaking out? Then I heard it. Liam's voice cracked with laughter, but it was not comforting. She's calling now. Are they really still there? The laughter only made my stomach twist. Suddenly the world felt like it was spinning. My legs gave way, and I collapsed onto the bed, feeling the weight of the realization wash over me. The phone buzzed incessantly, but I just sat there frozen, staring at it. Within moments, I threw everything aside and booked the earliest flight home. By dawn, I was back, and my wife greeted me in tears, swearing nothing had happened. The funniest part, she'd gone through our messages and deleted everything, as if trying to erase any trace of what had happened. Whether she was panicking or hoping to convince me I was just imagining things, I couldn't tell. We sat down with Liam later, and after much prodding, he admitted the truth. It had happened once before, just recently, when I was away. All of us had been at a mutual friend's birthday party, and my wife, after a few drinks, had clearly suggested to Liam that the party continue at our house. What seemed like an innocent offer to take a friend's wife home had quickly spiraled into betrayal. As soon as my former friend finished explaining, I made a decision. I told him I wanted to sell my stake in the business. It was a choice that, surprisingly, I made with more determination than I thought I had in me. To ensure my share wouldn't fall into the wrong hands, I demanded 30% more from Liam to buy me out. The deal was done. The divorce was wrapped up quickly, and thanks to a well-drafted prenuptial agreement, my ex walked away with nothing more than the kindness I was willing to show at that point. We didn't have kids, so when we left the registry office, it was as if we were strangers to one another. I jumped into the car and sped off. She stood there, rooted to the spot, her gaze distant, almost numb. I couldn't even begin to guess what was going through her mind. Maybe she was regretting it all, or perhaps she was already fantasizing about her new life. But in the end, her reckless actions, that drunken night, cost both of us everything.